how do we create the right touch points? So as I said, getting communications right is a key part of the successful change. It's if you think about a lot of change, it needs a team. If you think about change in terms of business development, needs communication, it's all about that. And when it comes to this, communication is key. Leading change successfully, it's absolutely essential. Now, this diagram comes from our hybrid team course, which I've shown you through, where we really talk through and spend a whole module on how do you get that right touch points, i.e. the right communication. And we've got some best practice and what works. But let's go over to you. What are these common communication mistakes made by your firm? And the big thing is the what's in it for me is not identified at individual and team level. That's the big one that's come out of there. And we often communicate change at the point it's about to be implemented, rather than allowing people a bit of time to get used to it. And also, we don't often involve enough of the right people to understand the implications of change, such as, say, for example, there's a change to your billing or timesheet system. Do the people implementing the change really, I've got hiccups, engage the secretaries early enough to understand how they currently bill, their challenges, and then to help them become champions of those change? But we often don't really get those vision out, and you think about any professional services firm, there's a big question whether there's a shared vision across the firm, which is why change is so much harder. And we often think about change as a change to a system or a change to a process, rather than what we're trying to do is change a behavior. And regardless of whether it is a new system or a new bit of technology, we're having to change behaviors. And what we've got to understand is, what are those behaviors that are going to change in the new world? And that is what helps you measure the success of a change initiative. And too often we do these broad brush things like, oh, this is the benefit to the firm. We're going to be stronger, rather than thinking about it at a team and an individual level. Remember, for change to be successful, what we actually need is individuals to make the change. It's not about the firm to make the change. It's individuals to change their old habits and their old behaviors to the new ones. So we've actually got to really add it at an individual level. And that's where often those weak bonds with the line managers that don't see their people day to day is often missed. And actually, you as an assignment manager, if you don't have a fixed team, have got part of that hat on to help people with that. And we don't tailor that communication for our teams and individuals. We just put it out there, and that's what we've got to do as generally the first line, second line managers. But also, we don't put enough time to that training and support. Training at implementation is often last minute. It might not even happen. A few videos and screen shares, that's all you need. Maybe not. And often as managers, we're not given that time to work with the new system. We're just expected to have the same budget and do it. So absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about resilience and well-being. And we often make short-term changes to our resilience and well-being, and then when it gets into a little bit harder, we go straight back to our old behaviors. And I know I came back from holiday on Monday. I was like, right, I'm going to go into my diary and make sure that when my husband is working from home or off, that we have lunch together, we have a walk together. Well, I looked at our diaries and there really wasn't much time, but I did have lunch with him today. And when we talk about this, there are key of the first three. There are three of the four foundational habits: sleep, diet, exercise. There's also recharge time. Those are the four foundational habits. And within the mindset resources, we've got a lot of stuff on those four foundational habits, both in how to be on your A game every day, but also in how to truly commit to moving your career forward. It's all in there. There's a lot of stuff here. There's a whole virtual masterclass on how do you create the space, energy, and desire to take that step up to partner, where self-care is so much of that. You don't need me to tell you, but all too often we neglect these four foundational habits. We don't think like an athlete, do we? We neglect these. And one of the things we're going to do in the virtual masterclass on how to be more resilient is we're going to look at what are those stress triggers for you personally, and how do you identify them. And that's a great tip, Jan. Having 1 hour and 5 minute time, after an hour, having a 5 minute break. But also the other side, a short term. What are the rewards boosts or change that you could do in the short term. You know, rewards could be, right, once I've done this, once I've done 30 minutes of checking my email, I'll go and make myself a cup of tea. You know, and these small little rewards can really help with that short term motivation during change. And one that I love, particularly when I want to do exercise, is I put on my favorite playlist that I've built for that moment of exercise and I play it. You know, what about taking Anna, five doing emails is your reward? By the way, can you come and do mine, please, Anna? I'd love you to do that.